Good morning. I am going to be, goodness, I'm trying to make sure that I'm good over on Instagram. Okay, there we go. Good morning. I am going to do something a little bit different today. Normally, I've been taking you through doing the sketch, going in, taking a verse or something, and doing it all in pencil first. And I spend so long doing the pencil that I don't actually get to finish the piece the way that I like to. So, good morning, everyone who's joining. Say hey, let me know where you're coming from and maybe what you're drinking. I've got my water here with me. I really need my second cup of coffee though. But so today we're going to go through this page and we are going to finish it. So if you look at it here at the top, I was going through some old videos the other day and I found this page from 2019 that was in pencil. And so I did a pencil video and posted it to Instagram. This was obviously a long time ago. Hello, Brazil. So I thought, that's a really good verse and really would be something great to meditate on, but also a pretty nice layout that I think I should finish. So I put it out there. This was a few weeks ago. I put it out there on Instagram and Facebook and said, hey, what do you think? Should I finish this? And everybody said, yes, finish it. So here I am, Georgia, drinking sweet tea. Of course you are. That is wonderful. I love me some sweet tea because I was born in Texas, but I was raised in Memphis, and sweet tea was definitely the thing for us there too. So let me get myself set up here. And I'm going to show you what I'm lettering in today. I pulled out my prayer journal. This is what it looks like on the front. This is the lettering prayer journal. So again, this is an old page that I just penciled in, but never took to completion. So over here on the side, let me go to a blank page so that it's not awkward you reading my prayers. But on this side, there's places to write prayers in about different categories, praise, repentance, thanksgiving, equipping, which is, asking the Lord to go before you and help you with what you need for that day, like patience, determination, all those things. And then we have a place for the community, the world, yourself. And then on the back side, sick and grieving, family, friends, and then a whole spot for answered prayer. So I created this a while back as a weekly prayer journal where you can come in each day and write in your prayers for the week, but also gave a scripture verse prompt for you to be able to write out God's word in a creative way, something kind of fun. And then it just be a good place to practice hand lettering, but also meditating and memorizing scripture for the week. So that is just a quick synopsis of what I'm using today. But, okay. So Letitia, did I say her name right? Letitia says she met me through the book Called to Create, which is a book that Jordan Raynor wrote a while back. And it's a fantastic book, but he interviewed me in that when I was first starting my business. So I'm trying to think what year that was that he interviewed me. I want to say that it was maybe 2016, somewhere around there. And things have changed a lot since then, but it's amazing to hear when people say, oh, I heard about you in the book Called to Create. I just love that. I love to think like God is still using Jordan and his book and those stories to encourage people in their creativity. And the whole thought behind that book is that we have a creative God who made us in his image. He is the creator. And so, oftentimes people have a desire to be creative, but then they say, oh, well, I'm not that creative. I can't do that kind of stuff or whatever. And I would always tell them, listen, you we're made in God's image, and he is a creative God. So you have creativity in you. It's just different. People have different kinds of creativity, you know? And so it's finding the way that God made you creative. But all right. So let me show you kind of what I got going on here as far as my supplies go. So I don't know if you can tell. Let me hold it up to the camera a little bit better. There's a lot of erasing that went on when I did this. And if you go back on my Instagram or my Facebook to find the reel, you'll see the way that it started. And then I completely changed my mind. I was like, I don't like this. And so then I went in and started doing it differently. So that's really why I say start with pencil, because you aren't trapped. If you start with pen, you can get good at that, and it takes some time, but it's permanent. You know, you can't erase it. So pencil just brings an amount of calm and comfort and relaxation. Like, okay, if I mess up, I can just erase it. Because that's the other thing, is that we're always like struggling with the blank page, you know, of like, oh man, I am looking at this blank page and I don't even know what to do with it. Once you can get pencil to paper and start, then it's like, okay, you just keep going. So it's like breaking that barrier, and pencil helps do that. So hello, Sean. Welcome from Facebook. I have my favorite calligraphy pen, the Tombow Funisuki. It's a Japanese word, but you can get these now. You can get them, I believe. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me if this is correct. You can get them at Michael's and Joanne, maybe. I'm not sure about Hobby Lobby, but I've always ordered them online from Tombow USA. But this is my favorite calligraphy brush pen that I use. I like it because it's a small tip. And let's see, you can see that it's small. There are larger brush tips, like these Sharpie ones that I just recently got, these paint pens. It's a much larger tip. And I have a little bit more trouble handling that size. So I always go with the Tombow. I also have my Mono Twin, which is more of like a permanent marker, and it's dual tip. So it's got a small skinny end and then a little bit of a fatter end for some of the work that we're going to do here. I also have, let's see, there's a gold one. Here's the gold one. These came in a 3-pack. I just got these at Walmart. They're the gold, silver, and white Uniball pens. They're the gel. I love these. They add such great detail. So we'll hopefully use a little bit of that today. I did not pull out my paints. I thought maybe we could just do paint another day, but I do have my trusty Crayola Twistables. I first found these because I bought them for my kids, and I love them. The colors are pretty good, but as far as a colored pencil goes, it's kind of like a colored pencil and a crayon together, mixed together. Oh, that one's got a paint or an ink blotch on it, but you just twist the bottoms so you don't have to use an eraser. And we'll be using these a lot today. I also have a few other markers here. We'll see if we get to those, but these are kind of my favorites. And unless I have my paints, but normally I don't do paint a whole lot anymore, just because it takes more time, and I find that I'm always running from one thing to the other. So, okay. Well, don't let me forget to tell you about the lettering challenge. Somebody remind me about the lettering challenge when we're wrapping this up. I want to make sure that I let y'all know about that. But okay, are you ready? So since I already have this penciled in, I forgot to tell you that I have an eraser. My good eraser I can't find. Probably one of my kids took it off. So this is one of their school erasers. It's just one of those cheap ones that you get in the school supply section. But you can see I've got all this mess that's already been erased in here. And I'm just really not going to worry about that. But I will be erasing the rest of the pencil marks at the end. So that's an important thing to have. And then I also have my ruler if I need it for anything. The design is basically here, so I don't expect to, but I always keep a ruler close by as well. So the thing to remember is it's good to have variation, so different weights. And so I like to have a lot of thick and a lot of thin and really mix that up. So that's why I'm going to keep these two pens handy. But let me go ahead and I'm going to take all these cursive, I'm going to make those into calligraphy. So with a brush pen, you can press down. Tell me in the chat if you've ever used a brush pen before and if you like it or you don't like it. You press down when you hold your hand at a 45-degree angle, so not straight up and down. You press down and it creates this really beautiful thick line. And then you lift up for your up strokes and it has a nice thin line. So you've got that really nice alternating thicks and thins. That is what makes a brush pen so wonderful, but it's more accessible, I believe, than using like a pointed pen. If you're doing calligraphy and you've ever seen people with that special nib on it and they dip it in the ink, I mean, that is a beautiful way of doing calligraphy. And that is what I first started off learning, but it didn't work well for me because I was always getting pulled away to do stuff with my kids, to help them. And then the ink would dry on my nib by the time I got back. And it was just kind of a mess. So I moved to doing brush calligraphy. And at first it was very difficult. I had a hard time getting my hand to work right. And I don't know if that's because of being left-handed. Is there anybody here who's left-handed? We have some special challenges if you're left-handed, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. So it took me a while. And I tell people that when I first picked up a brush pen, this brush pen, I hated it. I was like, I can't do this. This isn't working. It looks weird. And so I almost gave up, but I'm so glad that I didn't. I kept with it and I kept practicing. And now it feels almost second nature to me. So I encourage you, if you've tried it, to just keep at it. Now you can see right here, I did not follow the pencil marks exactly. You see that? And that's okay. One thing I like about the Tombow is it dries pretty quickly. So I can come in here and I can go ahead and give that a little erase so it's not distracting me. And so it still looks good. I may want to come in here and just still thicken up some of those downstrokes. I was talking, so therefore I don't feel like they are consistent throughout. I want them to look the same. Okay. So now for my word V, I'm going to switch over here to this mono twin. And remember, I've got two sides. I think I'm going to do the thicker side though. And so again, I'm not trying to copy over that pencil exactly. The pencil is there as my guide, but it doesn't have to be exact. So I can make adjustments to the design as I go. I'm going to keep with this mono twin pen to do my banner. So let me turn. All the other thing is, it's okay to turn your paper whichever way you need to. And as a lefty, to do a sideways thing, I have to turn it all the way this way. So if you're right-handed, you might feel more comfortable turning your paper all the way that way. Banners are one of my favorite things to draw. They just add a lot to a design and make it very just more interesting to look at. And you can do so much with a banner. So in my faith and lettering class that I teach, the basic lettering class, I show you 3 different banner styles. And actually at the beginning of this prayer journal, there's some banner styles too, maybe, I think. There's some hand lettering stuff at the beginning of this, and I'm trying to remember now. Did I teach any banners? I don't think so. There's a free download on my website too, in the blog section, where there's 3 banners that you can look at, and it kind of shows you the step by step. And then in the course, the hand lettering course, I show you step by step as well. So there's different, and I think the ones in the course are a little bit different from the ones on the blog. But once you learn how to do some banners, it's just really fun to incorporate them into your hand lettering. So, okay, I've got the banner done. I'm going to go ahead and finish, but we're going to add some more detail to this banner. But let's go ahead and finish doing all this. So for the word times, I want to add kind of an open area in here. I'm going to show you what I mean, because I don't have the technical jargon at the moment to describe it. But see, I want to create this open space in the letter so that I can take my colored pencils or whatever and color in and add some color to that. So what I'm going to think about as I'm inking this in is I've got to make sure that there's enough room in here to do that. So we may have to adjust the center of the letter a little bit to be able to do this. So now the letter M is a little bit different. If you think about the correct way, now I watch my kids sometimes and I'm like, y'all are not making your letters right. Because the way they taught us in school was always, you would make either a downstroke first, depending on the letter. Like we kind of know intuitively like where your up and down is. And the way that my kids learned, and now I've like tried to fix it, and it's such a habit. It's hard for them to fix it. I'm like, you're not doing your up and your down right. How are you ever going to learn calligraphy? Because you're not going to know where to put your down strokes. But when you think about an M, you would go up, down, right? So your up here is going to be thin. So we're not going to add that little thickness to it. But on your downstroke, you are. So I brought out this horizontal line a little bit of a ways so that I can make this thick here. So I know that this is going to be up, and then I'm going to just bring this down to join it up. And then I'm going to have to try to create some space here for another thick downstroke. So my E almost feels like it's kind of in the way. So I'm going to erase that. That way I can just shift it over slightly. If you're here, let me know where you're coming from. And thank you for joining us today. This is a page that I did in the Lettering Prayer Journal in 2019. And I found it recently in a video, and I decided it needed to be finished because it was still in pencil. So that's what we're doing. We're focusing today. Normally I spend so much time showing you how to do the pencil part that I don't get much time to show you the finishing details, which really are where it comes to life. So I erased that so that I could adjust it just a little bit. And then the S again is a little bit complicated with the curves. So I always kind of have to look at it for a second and think like, okay, where is it going to be thick and where is it going to be thin? Because since I'm doing my inking, I'm not doing pencil. I don't want the lines to crisscross. I don't want them to cross over each other. So I'm going to start at the top and come out. And I'm going to follow that line that I had around. So I'm just making it a little bit bigger on the top and then a little bit smaller on the bottom so it will join up. Just like that. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye to see if anybody has any questions. Hey, Shinda, how are you, friend? From California. Oh, and Chicago too, and Canada. You guys, welcome. I love that. Okay. So sometimes it's fun to put a small little word in a shape. So that's what I did here. It's a little oval. And we have a few options. I'm going to just keep the word of in black. You could almost like make it a bubble letter to where it's open and then, color it in a different color. But I think I made it a little bit too small to do that. So we're going to just color in that circle. Okay, trouble. And you'll see that I'm sticking with this Mono Twin pen. I think that's what it was called, right? Mono Twin. I like it. It is more of a permanent marker. So with thinner paper, you might experience some bleed through. This is pretty thick paper. I picked thick paper for this journal when I made it because I wanted to make sure that people could paint in it and do all kinds of things. There you go. But just something to be aware of, that if you're using this in a Bible or something with thinner paper, be aware that it could bleed through. You might want to test it first on a page in the back or something like that. Okay, so we've got another circle to hold the word he. And I'm just trying to think how I'll want to do this. I kind of want to make it a block style. So let me do it. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to do something that you're not sure how it's going to work out on a live because it could go horribly wrong. But let's see. Let's see how this goes. Let's see. Let me put this up. Penny Sue asked, do you have a good recommendation for an eraser that is sure to not smear? So it's really not in the eraser as much as it's in the paper and the pen. So what I would say is you're going to have to kind of test this out. But if your paper has more of a slick coating to it, I'm trying to think of what would be an example of that. Almost like a magazine type paper. Maybe not even that extreme. That's just like an extreme example of what a glossy, but if it has some kind of coating, it will probably smear. You have to give it a good couple minutes to sit there and dry. This paper is smooth, but it does beautifully in not smearing, but also your pen. So the Tombow, I feel like dries pretty quickly, but something like, I don't have one down here, I don't think, like one of the Tombow dual tip brush pens, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Those are real inky, like real saturated ink. And so those are not going to dry as quickly. You're going to have to give them another minute. So that's really, you're going to have to find that combo of pen and paper with, the eraser. So it is a little bit of a trial and error, but I'll say that I've had good experience with my Tombow brush pen or a Sharpie, something that, is doesn't smear. But two, you can just blow on it, give it a minute, see if that helps. So I hope that helps. It's not like a sure answer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this into a block style of letters. And so I am kind of following along my template of what I've already drawn in, going around. Okay. So that turned out pretty good. Let's see how the E turns out. Start out here. I'm going to do the outside first. And I'm also trying to focus on it and make sure that the width of those letters look the same. So one's not skinny and the other one's fatter, but they're pretty consistent in the overall thickness of the letters. So see, now I can color in the outside of the circle one color and then the inside of the words another color. And that's what I was kind of talking about here, but I felt like that was too small to try and do that. So, okay, and then I'm just going to trace over this word cares. It's pretty simple because it's there for me already. Any other questions, let me know. I'm going to keep an eye on the comments and see if I can answer any of your questions that you might have. This is the block style of, it would be called sans serif. Sans means without, and serif means those little feet on the ends of each letter that you might see like a Helvetica type font. So this is one of the styles that I teach in my basic lettering course. This is one of the main ones we go over of how to draw these. And it's not as hard as it looks. I show you step-by-step how to do them. So if you're interested in more of like a step-by-step process, like show me each little step. That is the place that you're really going to find that. Same thing with this. This is more of a serif. So when I say sans serif, it means without these little feet on them. So I also teach this block serif style in the class as well. So you can kind of mix and match all your styles together. And so if you're interested in learning more, I can tell you right here. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can comment learn lettering for that course info. And it'll send you, it's one of those auto keyword things, and it will send you the link to read more about it. But my desire in that course is to do something fun and creative together while also glorifying the Lord in it. And so that's why it's called Faith in Lettering. It's not so much that your lettering has to be all about faith, because you may decide that you want to start a business with your lettering. You may want to address wedding invitations or, do other things. So it's not so much that you have to do faith-based things with your lettering, but the class itself, like I don't shy away from talking about Jesus and what Jesus has done for me. So I want people to know whenever they go, like, this is a faith-based class, because that's just who I am. And it's God who's given me my creative talents and everything. And I want to always glorify him with it. So, yeah. Let me know if it works over on the Facebook Live, because I haven't tested the keyword in the live video. And so if it doesn't work, you can also just click over to it. It's faithandlettering.com. So here, let me do this, because on YouTube, they don't have the keyword function over there. So here it is. If the keyword doesn't work and send it to you automatically, that's where you can find it. So you'll look here and see how with this G and E, I, again, did not follow the pencil. I adjusted it. I felt like it needed to be shifted over a little bit. So I can just go in here and erase all those pencil marks. And if you're looking at this up close, you'd be able to see that. But on the screen, you're not going to be able to really tell. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to tell that there were a ton of pencil marks there that I erased. So, all right, so let me finish this up. I feel like I talk too much. And I know you're probably sitting there like, just get to the next step. We just want to see the end. I'm doing this cursive as a monoline instead of the calligraphy thicks and thins. Again, I just want to have a little bit of variation. And then down here at the bottom, we have Trust Him. So I penciled in the shape so that I could have a guide. But I'm not going to ink in those lines. I don't feel that we need them there. It kind of just distracts from everything. So I'm going to go back to my Tombow. And so even though this is all uppercase, I'm still going to use the thick and the thin to give it the contrast. So I'm going to press down hard on the brush tip to give me that thick line. And then I didn't mean to make that so thick. I pressed down on that too. So that's okay. I'm just going to keep that consistent throughout. I meant to make it a little bit thinner, but so much of doing art, crafting, whatever is just problem solving, creative problem solving. Like, oh, that didn't turn out the way that I wanted. What can I do to fix it? So don't ever get discouraged when you make mistakes with something like this. There's always a way to fix it. Even if you're going to use whiteout, like correction tape, go over it. I do that all the time in my sermon notes. I use correction tape all the time. I probably should do a reel on that so people know. I make mistakes in church all the time with those sermon notes. I misspell things. I mean, it is comical sometimes. All right, so now I'm just going to give this a light erase all over. Okay, hold on. Take care of the eraser dust. Okay, so you might be able to see there's still a few little lines there, but for the most part, they're gone. What do you think? Let me take that banner off. What do you think of it? So the only thing that I'm missing from this sketch that I did is the reference. So this verse is from Nahum 1:7. So I want to be sure that I put that down here in my drawing. I'm thinking I might do a little triangle here to balance out the Trust Him going at an up angle, or I could do another banner. What do y'all think that I should do? Patty Johnson says on Instagram, I've noticed that different brush pens feel different and some are easier to use than others. Have you noticed that? Yes. And it's interesting that you say that even with the same pen, like this being the Tombow, this tip is kind of like, I don't know if you can tell that it's almost bent. It's not worn down. I almost like them when they're a little bit worn down because I feel like the control is better. Otherwise, I'm always sort of fighting that tip. It's kind of bent at the top. So yes, even with these, sometimes I'm like, oh, this one needs to get worn down a little bit to make it feel more comfortable. And I don't have them except for these Sharpie ones. I don't have any other. Oh, yes, I do. I have these. I can show you this on like a little test piece of paper. So this is the Touch pen. And it is also a brush pen. Sorry, you can't see that. So it says Touch on there. It's Pentel Touch. And it is also a Japanese brand pen, but it does the same thing. And I do really like these. Sometimes I forget about them. Honestly. Oh, why is my camera not focusing? Hold on. Give it a second. Maybe it'll do. Maybe it'll focus. There we go. So these feel really nice, like butter. And I need to get me a few more of these because I forget about them. But again, it's the Pentel Touch, and they come in all colors, which the Tombow ones do now too, but I don't always love their colors. So this, again, is another small tip like the Tombow. It's a Feud. The Feud Nasuki is what that is. The Sharpie one, this one is a little bit more like the dual brush tip, and it's bigger. So I have a harder time doing doing intricate designs like this with something like this. You see how much bigger that is. So how much bigger my letters had to be. Let's see if I can make it the same size. So it's just fatter, a little bit fatter, a little bit harder to wield, but it's still a good pen, and it's good for like signs if you're wanting to make, you know, something for a gift, sign for your house or Christmas ornaments or something like that. It would be good for that. So, okay, let me finish this. Let me stop. Let me stop getting off. Feel free to let me know if you have any other questions, though. I do love to answer your questions. So I didn't see, did anybody answer me on whether you think I should do a banner? Oh, I have missed some of the YouTube and Facebook comments, so I'm so sorry about that. Jackie says, can you buy the book already printed? Do you mean this prayer journal? Is that what you're talking about when you say the book? And yes, you can. I do have a few more in stock, although I'm getting low on stock. And they do come with the calligraphy pen in the spiral. So those are available on my website. Let's see. Any more questions? I think I've answered all the questions. Okay, so now let's get into the fun part with the color. I'm just going to do this because I keep getting distracted, y'all. I'm just going to do a little triangle down here. I'm just going to come straight at the bottom of the T all the way over to the side of the M. Try to line that up so it's the same angle. I didn't do perfect, but that's okay. So in here, I'm just going to very small write in Nahum. One 7. Okay. All right. So let's get to the fun part. This is what I promised you. We're going to add a little bit of detail to the banner. I'm going to come in here with my pen and just draw in a few little lines on the sides. Give it a little bit of texture. And then up here on the folds, we can do a bunch of different things. You can color it in, which could be something that we do. You could do dots, you could do lines, cross hashes. So let's do, I'm trying to think of what I haven't done in a while. Let's do dots. Although the second that I said that, I thought that takes forever. So I'm going to try not to make it take forever. Just a bunch of little dots. You concentrate them at the bottom, and then you kind of space them out as they move upwards. It's really fun though. I mean, I think it has a really nice overall look to it whenever you're done. Okay. So those are the dots. Doesn't that instantly make it look so much better? I was just like, oh, it's got some dimension to it now. So that's the kind of fun stuff that I was talking about. Okay, so let me pull out some colors. I've got that's too much of a highlighter yellow. Let's do a yellow and a green. And the one thing that my one complaint about these is there's not a good pink. It's a little bit more of a magenta than a hot pink. And I'm a hot pink girl. blue. I just want a few colors. Is that good? We'll see. All right. So let's start with the banner. And let's do this green. Now, one thing I always kind of get mixed up on with these is the color. It's good to keep a scratch sheet on hand. See, to me, this green does not look the same as the cap on here. I always get a little bit confused about that. So let me see what this one is. Oh, that's even more of like a grassy green. See, so they didn't do a good job with that. So grassy green. And then I want more of like an aqua teal or this color. This is what I'm going for. Okay. So I'm going to take these two colors, which kind of felt like they were in the same family, and I'm going to use both of them for this banner. So what I'm going to do is just start penciling this in. And again, this is something great to do if you're listening to worship music, or if you want to, put on a podcast or something, or even just put your Bible on audio. But it's a great way to enhance your prayer time because it's calming, it's relaxing, and you're doing God's word in this example, so you can meditate on it, read over, think about it, work on memorizing it. It's just a nice, I don't know, a nice way to maybe start your day or end the day whenever you do your quiet time. And you may not have time to do this every single day. This is one of the things about this prayer journal too, is that, it was a weekly thing. So you don't have to like sit down and do that every single day. Some people would tell me like, oh, I do mine on Saturday when I'm home. And it's a nice Saturday routine. So I am just coloring around these letters. And again, these are the Crayola Twistables. I stole them from my kids' stash. And then I bought myself a set because I liked them so much. And, I know there's lots of really fancy, there's a lot of really fancy colored pencils out there. I just have never really gotten into them. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on supplies. All right. So if you'll see, I went a little bit darker around the edges and a little bit lighter on the inside. I'm going to come out here and do that again. But if you do it a little bit darker, maybe on the edges, or vice versa, you could pick to do them darker in the middle and lighter on the edges. But again, that just adds some really nice dimension. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that other green color, the darker one, and I'm going to do it in that fold. Okay, so right here, where the fold over is, I'm pressing down pretty hard to get it dark too. There you go. So it's got just more of like a shadowed look or whatnot. So, okay. Then for the letters, I'm going to do a brighter color to make it pop. So I'm going to do this yellow. And so one thing I will say is that because it's kind of like a crayon too, like it does leave a little bit of a waxy surface, but not extreme. It's just if you were going to try to go like right over it or something, it may not be the best background for writing over. We'll test that out though in a minute. I'm going to test that out with one of these gel pens. Okay, let's see. Times, I want to fill that in as well. and this circle. So let's do the pink for times. Do you see how that's kind of a dull pink? I'm very particular about my pink. I like bright. Bright or blush. Any other questions, let me know. Jackie says, I love that you're using Crayola. Crayola. Yes, it's all about finding just simple. You know, I love to find special tools to use, but at the same time, when you're at the store and you're getting other things, it's just nice to be able to grab what's there too. So, all right. And then let's do this blue. I'm going to do it dark on the outside and then kind of fade it in because I want the letters in there to show up. And then let's see, down here, I'm trying to think about my color scheme. So I think I might, do the yellow. I feel like we need a little bit more yellow. So we're going to do this circle in yellow. Once we get everything colored in, stick around because we are going to use these gel pens, these Uniball, to add a little bit more detail, which is where the design really comes to life. And it sort of just starts to pop even more. I have to keep twisting. I guess I'm pressing down kind of hard. But at least you don't hear me running over to the pencil sharpener and sharpening it, because I did a live a few weeks ago where I was trying to sharpen something and I was like, hold on just a second. I went running over here to the electric pencil sharpener. That was embarrassing. It was like, okay, it's not what I had planned. I'm going to do the blue on the inside here, just mixing it up a little bit. But now I'm really glad that I went ahead and did that as a block shape instead of just inking it like normal, because it's really fun, isn't it, to be able to go in here and color it in. Okay. And then we've got cares, and we've got this little triangle down here that we're going to color in, and then we'll do the other things that I like to do, like shading, shadowing, other sort of little techniques that I'll show you. So the word cares, do you think that we should do that in pink to balance that out, or the teal? Which one do you think would be better? I was looking to see if anybody had a opinion about that. I think I'm leaning more towards the teal. And then maybe down here we'll do the pink. Chris says pink. Okay, we can do pink. And then we'll do teal down here. I just want to make sure that I get all the colors in there twice. So here's the pink. You could even alternate, you know. One thing that I have done before is, let's see, I should have thought of this before, but there are multiple pinks in this set. Let's see what this one looks like, where you can kind of fade it in and do two different colors in one. So let's see if y'all can tell. This is a much lighter pink, but we could make it kind of fade down into it. Okay. So we'll start with the darker on top, and then we'll fade to lighter on the bottom. I'm going to push down kind of hard too so that it looks darker. Thank you, Chris. Is it Chris Beth or like Chris and Beth? I don't want to call you the wrong name, but thank you so much over on Instagram. I appreciate your compliments. I used to write notes to my friends in school, and we would do the bubble letters and everything and exchange notes, and it was fun to make them all creative and everything. I had no idea that you could make hand lettering. I didn't even know it was called hand lettering. I liked to draw letters in a pretty way. And so I got into graphic design because I enjoyed design, and it was all about typography, picking fonts that were cool and everything. And I just had no idea that hand lettering was a thing until later when I went out on my own and started doing freelance. And I'm like, how did I not know that you could just draw letters as a job, or that it's like an actual hobby that people had that I didn't know about. This was like, I guess, really before any social media, so you didn't see other people and what they were doing. What a different world that was, right? It's hard to remember that. Chrissy. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Chrissy. All right, almost done. This one keeps pressing, like pushing in as I'm doing it, so I keep having to keep twisting it. It's kind of annoying. Okay. All right, there we go. And then lastly, we're going to just color in this little. Now look, I used my ruler. My words are not coming easy today. Like I said at the beginning, I need that second cup of coffee. But I used my ruler to do this, and it looks like it just needs another little. I'm going to kind of do this sketchy where I do small little pen strokes. So it's almost like messy by design. So it kind of covers up the fact that it looked a little messy. All right, so I don't want to go too dark on this. I want it to stay kind of light. So I'm not going to cover up those letters too much. But I can see that it is, I don't know if you can tell, it is covering up the letters. I feel like I should go back over this. Do you remember how I said it's leaving a little bit of a waxy texture? And I wonder what's going to happen. It's been a little while since I've done something like this, but I'm going to go back over it with the Mono Twin pen that I was using earlier and see what it does. And I think it's going to be okay because this is like a Sharpie. It's a permanent ink. So it looks like it's doing okay. Sometimes some different kinds of pens would just not adhere, and it might smear a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I don't touch that for a few minutes. So now I'm going to take this gold. Let's see, gold or silver. Either one, really, but I think I'm going to do gold. I don't know, gold or silver. Which one do you think looks better with the colors? I could kind of go either way. I'm waiting to see if anybody is brave enough to weigh in. You want to weigh in and let me know which one you think would be better. Let's do gold. I see a couple gold votes. Let's go with gold. All right. So down here for the word cares, I am going to do a little bit of a shadow with this gold pen. So I'm not necessarily going to color it in like you might see. I'll show you a different kind of shadow, but this is just going to be a single line. But I'm going to imagine that my sun or my light source is up here in this left-hand corner. I always like to do my shadows on the right-hand side and down below. You could do it on the opposite, but it's like going back to middle school art class where you're doing a shadow and you have a light source and then you see, well, where does the shadow end up? So we're going to come in here on the right-hand side of the letter and draw little gold lines at the bottom and the right-hand sides of each part. And what this does, again, is it adds dimension. These are the final finishing touches that you can do to your artwork. So you could trace all the way around. That would just be a different look. And so I'm being very careful as a left-handed person to not drag my hand through that because it is going to take a few more seconds for this gold ink to dry. So that's why I'm turning my paper here. But see, for this S, I'm coming around on the right-hand side, but then I'm also coming in here on that right-hand side to get that. I'm going to skip where the 4 is, but then I'm going to add a little bit up there at the top and then a little bit here. So I have to, make a little space for that 4 to be in there. And then up here for the word refuge. So the word refuge and times are both the same style. You've got a serif, blocky serif style. It's not huge. If it was thicker, I would have more room to do something, but I still want to do something. So I think I'm going to take the white for the word times, and I'm just going to do some dots there in the middle. And these gel pens almost act as a sign pen, like a marker. So they sit on top, which is nice. But I'm going to do dots all down this pink area. We're going to concentrate it mostly on the bottom part of the letters. It does. It just pops off the page, Jackie. You're right. It does. Okay, now for this little box down here, I'm going to do a standard shadow so I can show you what that looks like. So back using this Mono Twin pen again. Oops, it's upside down. You can see the Japanese writing on it. All right, this is a little bit uncomfortable. Let me go this way. I'm going to do all along the bottom because I want to keep my shadows the same as the other letters. So it's consistent throughout the piece. But I'm going to just draw a thicker line down here. And it started inset just a little bit, so not all the way down. And turn it all the way upside down. And I'm going to start down just a little ways. So then you can see how it's sort of offset shadow. Any other suggestions on something I could do? I mean, we could add flowers and leaves, but I don't think we probably have time for that. We're almost at an hour. But this is how you could take a sketch to finished. If you want to add color and you want to add details, shadows, dots, all these things that just really make it pop off the page and bring it to life. Now it looks finished, doesn't it? So that is so fun. And thank y'all for sticking around. If you joined halfway through, this was a design that I did in 2019 that was just pencil, and I wanted to finish it. And I'm happy with how it turned out. So thanks for joining me. I wanted to tell you that I have a hand lettering challenge each month. And so this month for September, we're doing biblical work. I have this posted on my Instagram and my Facebook pages, but on my website, you can go on there. And in the post, there's a comment where you can comment the keyword and it will send you the link straight to it. But you can download a little printable version of this to keep at your desk. Today is Proverbs 14:23, which is a great verse on work. So we're looking at how God views work, how he commands that we look at work, both spiritual work and the work that we do every day in our jobs. So this is just a free kind of almost like ministry thing that I provide. I started it in April, but I had done it previously in years ago and decided to bring it back. So it's a way to provide for you a verse to get in the word and hand letter it every day. And so I hope that you'll join us. Use the hashtag Letter for the Lord, SEPT, SEPT 24 for September 24. And yeah, so I hope to see you on Facebook, Instagram with those. And thank you, YouTube, for joining in, everybody over there. This was the first time that I have gone live on YouTube, so that's exciting. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you found me and what you'd like to see more of in the future. All right. Have a great day.